Cassian Andor. Das Imperium hat uns so langsam erdrosselt, dass wir es kaum gemerkt haben. Ich habe nur eine Frage. Würdest du nicht auch alles geben für etwas Echtes?
I think it does. I don't know if it gives you more or less freedom, but it's definitely different, from everything I've done. The approach I have now is like, I know what he's capable of, but the interesting part of this is how big of an arc we can create in order to make an interesting ride for him to get to find out he's capable of that. For him and for audiences too, The idea is to meet Cassian in a moment that you don't believe he will be capable of pulling that off, and it's an interesting way it triggers creativity in a different way, and this is much more about his past and the wounds he talks about in Rogue One. Now we'll get to explore that, Yeah, I mean, it's different, I think in when we meet him in Rogue One, we meet a committed person, someone that has conviction and knows, what he's fighting for. The guy we meet in Rogue One, in Andor, this time is very different. It's a guy just surviving in a very cynical moment of his life, where he doesn't feel part of anything bigger. He is very skeptical of what can be possibly done, and he's in a very selfish mode, trying to save himself, and that's it, So we need to find out that transition, We need to see that awakening of a revolutionary, and that's what the show is about. He's definitely a very dark person, and I love that about the writing of Tony Gilroy. Our characters are real, are grounded. They're not good or bad. They're just complex, and Cassian clearly is someone that has made so many mistakes in his life, but he's able to forgive himself in order to keep moving forward. And I think that makes him different. I think that's something really important, what you're saying, What we will see in Andor is something you don't get to see often in Star Wars, This is a show about the people, about regular lives, about every day in the life of these people. So we'll get to be in very intimate moments with them. We'll get to be as realistic as you can be in a galaxy far, far away, And I think that's important, because this is a show about the people, about what people are capable of doing when they articulate something together. And here in this show, because also this long format allows us, we'll get to see that life of obviously Cassian and his community, but also those working for the Empire, We'll get to go into that intimate world too, where they have to cook for themselves, they have a mother, they have a house, they have cleaning to do, and it's quite interesting to see a show like that. Andor will give you obviously the big scope you're hoping for in Star Wars and the adventure and action, but we can also give ourselves the time to go into these intimate moments in this private life of people trying to survive the Empire, I think it talks about this revolution, that includes all of these marginalized people coming from many places, I always thought of Cassian as a refugee, someone that it was forced to move. And now we'll get to see that, Now we'll get to see where he's coming from and what he left behind. But yes, I mean, in Rogue One, no one asked why Cassian had a different accent than everyone else. Now we'll get to find out. There's a story behind that. And in this galaxy, there's where freedom is taken away from people. There's something happening like that has a parallel with the world you and I live in, where people are just moving, trying to find opportunities where they, and moving in order not just to survive, but to transform or to become who they want to be. Like there's many stories here, and it kind of relates with the world we live in, where we go out. I mean, I'm in London, and you can't hear more accents than walking in London. I live in Mexico City, where every Spanish-speaking accent is represented. So I like when the stories we tell have some connection with the world we live in. Otherwise, I don't care about them. I think it's more natural. I think, I mean, through these years, the other day I was going through like the amount of years we've been traveling and promoting, and I feel today it's very easy for me to come sit down here and do this, and I don't feel like I'm stepping into the space of someone else, not anymore. I think there is an openness, and obviously platforms and streaming have helped for that, that now we have access to content from many places we haven't been or we don't know, and we are experiencing those realities through stories we're seeing on movies and series. So it's quite interesting. I think it's a good moment in terms of that exchange. It's getting simpler to be specific and still have universality, Yes, I mean, information is power, definitely. And the beauty of Star Wars, and I think every science fiction project has that potential, but Star Wars definitely, it's a good example of how, when you place a story in a galaxy far, far away, you can make so many comments about your reality, And Star Wars has always been that, a tool for reflection and to happen, I think, and because of the people involved in this show, there is so much being said, with Andor that I mean, I feel proud of, because it feels contemporary. It feels we are talking about a world similar to the one we experience every day, and that's what I like from entertainment. I do hope to get entertained and have fun and enjoy the ride, but also to think and to be asked and to be challenged by what I'm seeing, and that's what I look for as audience. So that's what I do also as a professional,
We have to acknowledge what George Lucas did in Return of the Jedi, which was first shot in 1982, I think, to place Mon Mothma at the center of the rebellion, to have her as the leader of the Rebel Alliance. And I think it feels as brave then as it does now to have a woman leading this band of rebels. I think you're correct. What you're saying there is that we don't see it often enough. But I love the opportunity to get to play her now, to invest in this character now, in a way that we haven't seen her before. I think right now in the world we have examples of great female leadership from many different parties, many different political backgrounds. We have examples now of women leading as women. I think what you're alluding to is perhaps in the past they had to be seen as men. But I think right now we have to celebrate the women who are leading as women. And I think what Andor does is allow me the opportunity to explore Mon Mothma as a woman for the first time. You know, previously we have met Mon Mothma within her role as a senator. And I think when you look at roles, at characters that are only a role, you can impose your own belief system on that. But what Tony Gilroy has allowed for and has written for in Andor is to see not just the politician, not just the senator, not just the formal role, but the woman behind that. How does she live? What is her life like? Does she have to sacrifice? What does she have to fight for? And what is important for her? And what's a real wonderful opportunity for me as a female actor is to have the opportunity to stretch into those ideas. That's what's exciting for me to be able to play. I think that's what's so exciting about Tony Gilroy's writing. And it's in his other work that we've seen before. He really reaches into what is intricately human about the characters. So it's less black and white. It's less clear. It's more murky. Within Andor, we really delve into the grey of humanity. What it is to have to compromise, to have to think around things. It's less linear. It's more human. The characters are more intricate. So they're less, like you're saying, it's less binary. It is less black and white. And so for Mon Mothma, we see her at the beginning, and I think in fact, I think we see all the characters. Andor is prior to an organized rebellion. There is nothing organized when we meet them. So they will, over these 2 seasons, have to find each other, have to collaborate. But when we begin Andor, we have individuals, people, including Mon Mothma, with the idea of rebellion, the feeling, that internal feeling of rebellion, but not knowing who to reach for, not having an organization to step into. I think when we, as humans, when we maybe feel rebellion in our heart first. We feel maybe inequality. But it takes a while to give it voice, and then it takes a while to maybe risk going outside our comfort zone. And for Mon Mothma in Andor, we see her having to risk, having to step outside the structure of empire, the structure of the Senate. We see her having to navigate a dangerous world. It's such an exciting time to show it now, and you're right, within a 2-hour time frame, you just wouldn't have the time. So long-form narrative allows for a character exploration that you just don't have time for in cinema. But I feel it is of its time right now because I think cinema has influenced television to allow us the cinematic experience, but yet with character development that streaming services have the money to invest in a way which we didn't have previously in television. Well, what I love about Star Wars fans is their passion. They are so passionate about the characters, and all the fans will know much more about the character than I do. But I feel a great privilege of being able to step into this woman's shoes. And I really want to explore her and lift her within this universe. And I hope the fans love what we're trying for here, to explore her as a complicated and beautiful and risky and brave woman. I'm not sure we'll get to see her playing Smash Ball though.
Well, we will be accumulating adversaries as we go along. I guess if you went to episode 4, you got to see Denise Gough appear as Dedra, and you got to see the ISB. Kyle Solar is playing someone who has, will be all the way through our show, and he has a personal problem to resolve. But the real answer to your question is, this is, it's the Empire. It's the Empire, and it's the expression of the Empire down through our characters, and there'll be other Imperial characters as we go along. The Empire is our adversary. I guess that's the easiest way to answer that. No, I know, but look, I've written a lot of villains in my day. I've been in love with every one of them that I ever wrote. If you can't get behind what your villain is about while you're writing it, you're doing half the job. Every character should be understandable, and everybody is the hero of their own story. Everybody in this room, you're the hero of your own story. And to the villain, they're not a villain. And Kyle. Cyril Karn, he plays this character, Cyril Karn. He's a fascinating character, and where it goes, I think you'll, if you like him now, I think that you should really keep watching the show, because we got a lot of interesting places with him, and he's a really fresh character. But we have a lot of characters. We have some characters in the show that are, dark for the sake of dark, I suppose. But they all have, they all have reasons. They all have insecurities. They all have needs. They all have responsibilities. They all have things that they want, and we have the time in this show, and we have the actors who can give us everything. We have the time to explore why these people are doing what they're doing and what it's costing them, and we have actors that can deliver on that. We've made our world. How is the ISB really different than a crazy advertising agency or a hospital or German Rolling Stone? People are careerists. There are people that like each other and don't like each other. There's somebody that wants somebody else's job. There's a boss that's an asshole. There's a boss that's great. Whatever it is, these things are universal, and that's my approach to it. My approach to it is, this is a real place. These are real institutions. These are real people that are trapped in there or excited to be there, or it's just, I never think about it that way. The great opportunity of the Star Wars frame is that it allowed for us to do all this. And the really cool thing about Lucasfilm and Disney Plus now, what they're doing is they want to open another lane to another perspective on this galaxy that they've built. So this is down on the street. I love that. Yes, I want that comparison. All right, yeah. That would be great. Have Michael Scott in Star Wars. But you know what you're saying though is really encouraging, because The Office is nothing but exactly what I was just saying. It's the molecular needs of people and what's wrong with them and what they want and how they have to get along. And The Office is the most character-y little, I don't know what the term, you know what a Petri dish is, where they put all the things in and the little bugs grow? It's really, I want that everywhere. I want that in everything that I do. I think my hope is that, I mean, there's been a couple movies I worked on where maybe they're on a little bit more of a surface, but your goal is always to be right down there and really understand everybody all the way, and then build an adventure, build a big story out of that. Well, there's no pressure to do it. There's no pressure at all to do it. Our philosophy about it is that we would never, ever do it cynically. We would never do it to do fan service. The only time that we have something there, we use it as protein for the story. It wants to be there. Now, it's wonderful when those two things line up, and we find out, oh, we can do this, and that fits exactly with what we want. You'll see as the show goes on, we have some opportunities along the way, but we never say, oh, now it's time to drop in a character, or someone should bump into somebody on the street, or we don't do anything cute like that. Well, yeah, I mean, that's not a new concept for either you or I. I mean, fantasy and science fiction have been a great place for storytellers to put all kinds of commentary and look, it's not just current events. It's a chance to deal with really gigantic, tectonic, historical events as well. I mean, you know, pick your revolution. I mean, you know, history is. I mean, we could spend the next 10 minutes just talking about all the revolutions that we can remember. Now, they're all very different, and they're all very the same. They have similarities, but they're all very different. This is an opportunity to design the organization of a revolution. So it's not just a chance to, oh, here's something that's interesting about what's going on now. It's also, this is what's interesting about the Haitian Revolution, or this is what's really interesting about the French Revolution, or this is what was really interesting about, you know, the infighting in the Russian Revolution. It's a chance to really, cherry pick through all the things I like to talk about, and then have 24 hours to do it in. It's pretty exciting.